Evening. Welcome back to Instant Spurs episode 24. Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to everyone watching at home. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight. We've got Lee. How you doing, Lee, mate? I think this is actually your debut on the channel, mate, I think. Long time coming.
It is, mate. It is, yeah. I've been a little bit of a hiatus on YouTube recently, but the nights are getting lighter. Training is winding down a bit, so I thought I'd jump on tonight and hopefully get back into a little bit more YouTube over the next coming weeks and months.
Oh, nice one, mate. Oh, nice to speak to you. I think the last time I saw you was in the summer, weren't it? Savers Barbecue, mate. Remember?
It was indeed, yeah. It was indeed. I won't forget
Been a
that.
while. Lots changed since then, mate, hasn't it?
It has indeed.
Oh, mate, terrible times. Let's go to the chat, say a few hellos, see who's with us tonight. Got Cookies straight in there with a super sticker. Big up, mate. Lovely meeting you yesterday at the game and meeting your son. Yeah, that was a good part meeting you, mate. But unfortunately, the day ended in misery. I hope you're good, mate. I know you've had a busy day streaming. Big up to Guy. How you doing, mate? Hope you're well, mate, as well. Let's see what Guy says. He says, complete and total embarrassment. We are a laughing stock from celebrating a non-trophy, given the positivity being bribed by free drink to get pumped 3-0. Yeah. We're going to talk about it, mate. Honestly, it's dark times at the club. Cookie says, I think Dan might give it beans tonight. Large portions incoming after seeing that Wankfest live for himself on Sunday. All right, mate. Cookie, mate, you're knackered, mate. Honestly, you've been at it all day on stream, man. Honestly, fair enough, mate. Rest up. And who else we got here? We got Rosa. Was one of, I can't even read that, mate. But evening to you. Hey, Mark, fair play for going to that yesterday. Was sorry to hear what happened to the car. Delighted you won in the football ACCA. Yeah, mate, you did. He got a winning the day before. Pay for his day. Great result. Zorbath the Geek's here with us. Evening, gents. Hope you're good. Nige is here as well. How you doing, Nige, mate? Big up chats and chat. Nothing else good to say. Well, everyone, thank you for being here. Smash the like, subscribe if you're new and all of that. Much appreciated. Lee, where do we start tonight then? Let me think. Okay, I got a good idea because it's just me and you. How are you feeling right now as a Spurs fan, mate?
Mate, it's hard, right? Because I didn't really expect anything different than what the result was yesterday, right? I know a lot of people were jumping on the bandwagon about the Atletico game, etc., but I mean, I haven't been in a lot of streams lately, but I've been in a lot of the chats, and I've been saying for the last week, or even the week before, in the first Atletico game, that I thought that we were going to give them a good match. I think the first match was very much down to individual errors, and we were going to give it a good old go at home. And that's because my opinion is, and always has been probably since last season, is that this squad, as much of a squad or a team you can call it, is much more geared towards European football than it is the Premier League. I think the Premier League is a completely different beast. There's a lot of high intensity, there's a lot of pressure, and I don't think this team as a squad is geared to play like that. So for me, I wasn't surprised by the result against Atletico, but I also didn't think that was going to be the barometer for the game against Nottingham Forest, because we've seen how many times this season, how many times last season, that at home against these other teams that are fighting for the same kind of positions and points that we just don't seem to be able to get it over the line. Now, again, and I've said for probably a few months now, these guys look like a team of players. They don't look like a squad. And there's just so much change and so much people in and out, and obviously you're going to have injuries. That's we know we've got injuries, and that plays part of it. But these guys just don't look like a squad. They just look like a group of 11 players that are very lacking in direction. which is a shame because, I think individually some of these guys are actually, I think they're good footballers and I think they can excel in other teams, but I just don't think we're a squad. I really think we're lacking.
What was your thoughts? Let's take you back a bit, Lee, with the whole Thomas Frank thing. Do you think the Vinay Lange kept him on too long? Do you think he should have been sacked a little bit earlier than when he did? What's your thoughts around the Frank?
I've got an opinion on this. I think I've always said that this club, just as much as we moan about players, being played out of position, etc., I don't think the owners of this club know how to put a football competent group together, including things like, the CEO position, the director of football, etc., etc. I think it's a mishmash of people that are not working together. From the outside looking in, to me, it certainly looks like Frank was brought in at the hest of Lange and Frank. That was their idea. And maybe Levy had some say in it at the end. I don't know. But I wasn't opposed to him. I wouldn't say he'd be my first choice. But as I said from day one with Frank, I'm going to treat him exactly the same as I treated he who will not be named, because it's a sin apparently to say his name anymore. He had just as much to prove as the other guy did, because as much as he'd done a very good job at Brentford, let's be fair, he's done a very good job at Brentford with what he had, etc. I don't think he had just as much to prove to us that he could do it at a bigger club with a bigger set of players and a bigger set of personalities, right? Because that's what a lot of these guys are. They're big personalities. And in terms of his sacking, I think we should have done it before January, 100%. Because if the board's idea was to get rid of him, and that's why we don't know this, but if we didn't want to buy any players in January because they didn't want to spend the money on him, then they left it too long. They should have done it at the beginning of January, found someone else, and then gave themselves 2 or 3 weeks in the January window to maybe bring some reinforcements in. If they've done that the other way around and not brought people in because of that, and I'm not putting like the likes of Gallagher in that because they just seems to be optimistic bias because of the fact we've got injuries. It's complete incompetence by them. They should never have done it that way around. They should have done it at an earlier stage. And I also, just to finish the point I want to finish on with Frank, is I don't think Lange and Vinay had anything to do with his sacking. I think the board did. I think they went against the wishes of them too, because I think they wanted to keep him around. And that shows a massive disjoint between ENIC and the guys that are apparently running the show at the moment. And that's what worries me.
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a blame game, isn't it, this season? Where's the blame lie? It's probably everywhere, isn't it,
Yeah.
Starting off with the board being the biggest problem, then moving on to the manager. I think Frank, he was struggling. He was really struggling. The players as well. It's all of it. But, Lee, you've been to the protest, right? Have you, Lee?
No.
Are you for protests or not?
I'm for protests, but I don't think the way that Spurs do protests are the same as other clubs around Europe or in the league do protests. I don't think the current people that are doing the protests at the moment or trying to encourage people to protest are sending the right message. I think the message is too broad. So therefore, I don't get involved. But to be fair, that's only mainly because most of the time on a Saturday, if it's on a Saturday or something like that, I'm actually playing football anyway. So I probably don't go. I don't go to the games enough to actually.
So would you? Are you supportive of it? Maybe that's a better word of saying. Are you supportive of the protest? You think this is the right thing to do when fans are not happy? Protest.
I'm supportive of a protest that has the right message. But I don't think the one that we're doing at the moment is a message. I think it's just a very broad message that means something different to everyone.
Yeah. Well, it's got a little bit complicated, especially the last week or so, with it being cancelled, and then this whole gathering stay up party that we saw yesterday. What was your thoughts on that, mate? On the whole gathering, stay up stay up. What do you want to call it? Meet up, rallying the players. Where do you stand with that?
Listen, I don't mind it. We as supporters have got to. I do agree that we do need to get behind the team. I do agree that we do have influence, because I think the morale of the players does change depending on what the what the way that we act within the stadium, how noisy we are, how much cheering we do, etc. I think that does have an impact on the players. The problem is that my opinion now is that we've done all of that. They've seen it. We've been loud in the stadium. They still can't put a performance in. So as far as I'm concerned, it's nothing to do. We've done our bit. They're just simply not good enough. They're not good enough as a squad. So they can take it whichever way they like. And, we can do it week in, week out. We can have a party every Saturday, every Sunday. If they're not going to put the performances on the pitch, then what else can we possibly do?
Lee, you've got a question in the chat here from Cookie. Do you think there's sabotage going on the football, Lee? I really don't get what Plums are doing upstairs. The Plums doing upstairs.
What, from a board perspective, Cookie?
Yeah, that's what he means.
Do you think that I don't think my opinion isn't as savage as some of the guys that I've streamed with in the past in terms of Enoch and stuff like that, right? But my opinion and again, looking from the outside in, sounds like to me that we've got owners that really don't understand football. They understand business, and I will give them all the props for what they've done to put the infrastructure in place, but they don't understand what it takes to make a winning football team. Now, whether that comes down to what's been done in the past in terms of wages, how much we want to spend on players, which we spent a lot of money on players, whatever's held us back has held us back. They don't understand it. And they've had people in there that I wouldn't say don't understand it. They've been in the game for long enough that they should, but in the current structure as it is, I think there's a massive disconnect between Enoch and Lange and Vinay. You can see it, because they are. The surprising thing about me is that Vinay came in and one of the first things he said was, "I'm one for the fans. I'm here to communicate." The guy's had one bit of communication with us, and then he's gone completely rogue. He's gone silent. It's like he's backed into a cave, and he's not come out for the last 7 months. And I think that's because he's been tired, and I don't think the board want him to say a thing.
Mate, it's shambles, isn't it, really? The whole thing is absolutely shambolic. Now, look, for me, the protest, I wanted to go to this protest, but it was cancelled for this, stay up gathering. I'd planned to go anyway, so I still went, and we got a ticket for the game and watched the game. But look, I wasn't for this, gathering, because I was thinking the most important thing is the protest, because the season's been awful. It's been, we're in a relegation battle. Last season in the league was awful. And I was putting a lot into the protest, this is what I can do. I don't spend much money on the club at all. Obviously, I went to the game yesterday, but that was the first time since Pochettino, and I'm not going to aim to spend any more money there. But that's my personal protest, mate, to be honest. I'm supportive of the protest, but the worry is for me, I just don't think there's going to be ever enough fans who are going to want to get involved in the protest. And just had the feeling there when I went to the ground yesterday, if you just say Enoch out or anything like that, or have a conversation with anyone, people give you a funny look. They're like, you're talking a foreign language. They're just not, just the fan base on the whole, they just haven't got the the want to kind of challenge Enoch and do something about this awful situation we've been the last 26 years, Lee. We've been, just fallen short so many times, and it gets to a point. It's like, do they ever really want to win, or is it just making money profit wise and all these other events that go into a club? So I've had enough of the ownership, but the worry for me is that I think the fan base on the whole, I don't think enough of people are going to do anything about it, and I just don't think anything will change. Will it change if we get relegated? It's going to hit them hard financially, of course, but they think of all damn money they're bringing in from them events. That's not going to stop, is it, mate?
No, not at all. And so I think we have. So I used to go to the Lane. When it was the Lane, I used to go to the Lane, right? I remember those days. I remember those days more fondly than I do the times that I've been to the new stadium. I've only been there like 4 times, but I remember the first time I walked into that stadium, before we got out to the pitch, before we got onto the game itself, it wasn't like being in a football stadium. It was the strangest. Actually, do you know what? I'm being clouded by my own view for when I first went there. So I'm lucky enough to know someone that basically has a very expensive season ticket. And whenever they can't go, they always call me and say, "Hey, we can't go this weekend. Do you want the tickets?" And it's like level 3, all your food's included, etc., etc. It's pretty pricey. I think it's something like £8,000 a season ticket or something like that. So I'm very lucky that I know someone that gives me those tickets. So I only got to experience that, and it was really strange. It was not like going to a football stadium. Then I got, well, you know Iggy, right? Iggy can go to a game once, and he gave me his ticket. And obviously, sorry, Iggy, but it's a lower standard type of ticket than the ones that I'm used to. And that's when I met up. I met up with Lubo and stuff like that, and James Flower, and that was more in the normal what I call the normal section of the ground, and we were in the South Stand or whatever, and that felt a little bit more like I was surrounded by supporters, whereas before, with the more expensive ones, I didn't feel like I was surrounded by supporters. No one was shouting, no one was chanting. You could hear it all coming from the South Stand, but it felt almost very family and corporate kind of. It wasn't corporate, but it felt like it. It felt like everyone was just there to watch a game of football. And I think that's the issue. And I think we've got a massive section of our fan base, and I don't want to alienate anyone here, but this is only going off of conversations that I've had. They are literally just there to go and watch a game of football. The politics behind it, they just couldn't care less. They don't want to get involved. That's not what football's about. The politics, leave those at the door. I just want to watch a game of football. And that is also evident with where I live. And where I live is a massive, massive population of Spurs supporters. I mean, for every 10 people you ask, probably 6 of them are Spurs supporters, a couple of West Ham and a couple of Arsenal. And I've had lots and lots of conversations since I started, like, sort of doing around the YouTube thing over the last three years or so. And every time I speak to people through coaching or through playing football and having conversations about football and saying, "Oh, I'm a Spurs support, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I support Spurs," and asking the questions, they just don't know this stuff is going on. They have no idea. They don't understand about the ownership. They don't understand about all the politics going on in the background. And quite frankly, they don't want to.
No,
I think
this doesn't surprise me, mate. Doesn't surprise me.
We are a minority. That's the problem. And that's why we're always going to get low numbers until something drastically tragic happens, whether that's relegation, possibly. But again, I think a lot of people would just accept it and think, hey, we'll go straight back up, which I think will be a bit of a wake-up call for a lot of people, because even I don't think we're going to go straight back up.
Mate, what I don't understand, Lee, is that, in the season, which has been goddamn awful, if any time people are going to be pissed off, angry, annoyed at the board, this would be the time, right? We're close to going down. We're in a relegation battle. We've lost so many games. Everything's a mess. But it's just not. They're just not the. I don't know what you want to call it. As you said,
no
people would. the appetite, that's the word, Lee. Yeah, thank you. I just want to say a few hellos in the chat while I'm here quickly. Big up to Psycho Teacher. How you doing, man? Thank you for joining us. Big up to Ronnie as well. Hope you're good. And big up to Paul as well, mate. Hope you're good as well. Just wanted, and big up to Paul Brown as well, man. I hope you guys are all good. Thank you for being here. Look, so I mean, look, I just felt yesterday, mate. Let's start with the game. Let's talk about the game. You watched it, yeah?
Yeah, I watched the game. Yeah,
you saw the game, yeah. So, for me, when I saw the lineups, obviously we're walking to the ground, yeah, from Seven Sisters, checking the lineup on the phone. Straight away, noticed no Xavi, right? Which I just couldn't understand. Couldn't understand really what that team was. I think we didn't know. We probably thought Spence was going to start at left back, right? And he was going to go free at the back. Sarr and Gray midfield, same as against Atletico Madrid and Liverpool. And then up front, you know, he drops Mawani, brings back Solanke, Richarlison, Tell, Porro. And I was pissed off, Lee, mate, to be honest. I was really, really pissed off. Cookie is, you know, he's in the chat. He could tell he was pissed off as well. Like, how can you drop Xavi after that game he had against Atletico Madrid? And I know it was a game with no pressure because we were already out. How could you drop a player who scored a fantastic goal, had a really good game, maybe probably his best game in a Spurs shirt? I was just in shock. A must-win game, a game where you need your attacking footballers on the pitch to score goals, create things, and he's dropped. I just thought it was criminal, Lee, mate. How did you feel about it when you saw it?
I thought it was baffling. I really did. But I sort of, I'm not going to say that I predicted that it would happen, but if you look at his track record, he has a real struggle to start him in the Premier League, even when he's fit. I think this is like, what, the third game now that we've seen where he hasn't started Xavi, which, again, to me, I know everyone, there's going to be a lot of people out there, and I've seen it in the comments on other channels when I'm watching it saying, oh, well, he ain't done very well, he's crap, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. You don't drop your most creative player, whether they're, you know, they're not doing as well as you would expect. You just don't do it, right? That's the equivalent of dropping Kane 2 years ago, right? For no reason other than, oh, he's had a couple of games where he hasn't scored a goal. Well, you don't take them out of the scenario. You keep them in there. You've got to keep them in there. It will do more harm to a player dropping him than it is for him to go in and not have a good game, because they can always rectify that. They can take it on the chin. But to be sat on the bench saying, well, what have I done wrong? Makes no sense to me. He either doesn't like him or he's just... I'm the same as you, mate. It's absolutely baffling why he didn't start him. I can't work out the angle. I know
we may have had a shit game, Lee, mate. Do you know what I mean? He could have had a stinker, but we would never know, will we? But I just couldn't believe it, mate. And then when we saw the lineup, you know, when they came out, and we could clearly see Van der Ven was playing left back, got two left backs on the bench in Salsa and Udogie. Nothing made sense. I know a lot of people like Danzo, yeah. But I don't understand it, Lee, mate. And I thought that's not good. That's not good. And I thought let's talk about that first half. Paul, I'll go to your question in a minute, mate. I just thought we were bang average, to be honest. I thought, you know, we had a bit of possession. There was effort there. But the lack of quality, the lack of invention in how we attacked, it was just a little bit, don't know what the word for it is. It was very...
lack of creativity.
It was just no creativity.
Xavi might have given us.
Yeah, it was just nothing there. It was all huff and puff. I thought Nottingham Forest were defending well. They were organised. They got some good players, Nottingham Forest. I just thought it was a bit of a nothing performance in that first half. What did you think leading up to that first goal in that half, Lee?
Pretty much what you just said. I mean, I don't think there was any. I always sit there. I always try to gauge a game based on what I'm feeling at the time of when I'm watching it, and I was almost like, I'm not worried that we're going to go behind, but I also don't see where we're going to get a goal. I know we had a couple of chances, but they were literally just a couple of chances. I think that their goal for me, just came out of absolutely shocking defending. I mean, if you watch that back, I think there was 5 Spurs players around him at the back post, and this guy manages to get a free header in the middle of a pool of Spurs players. It was just absolutely madness. But I didn't feel like it was coming at that particular point, if I'm honest. I just think we both looked like two relegation, teams that were trying things, but nothing was sort of, we just weren't getting anything out of it. And then they just got, chance and took it.
Can you remember any chances, Lee, mate? Honestly, I can remember one where Richarlison got down the right and he put it across the box, didn't he? And Solanke didn't get on the end of it. I can remember that.
I think he was offside anyway, so
he was offside anyway.
That would account. Yeah. What was the Tell chance? Is that in the first half or the second half? I can't remember.
Tell was they scored, and then we straight away hit the bar with Tell. The keeper pushed it onto the bar. But other than that, I didn't think we created much at all. I think Gray was okay in the game. I think he was okay in the first half. He was trying to spread the play a bit, but Nottingham Forest, they just sat in there. They weren't under too much pressure, and they did what they did. They just caught us with a corner kick, and and it was a good header because he had to lean back, but Spence got done. Romero, I think the ball went over his head. He went to leap, and it just went completely over Romero's head, and we were a goal down. But to be honestly, it can happen, right? In a game, 1-0 down, it's not the end of the world. I thought the performance was average. I heard a lot of the fan base say that we played well. I can't see that. We hardly tested their keeper. Not many shots. It was wasn't connecting. It was just I wasn't enjoying it. It's like the other night against Atletico Madrid, right? And I know it was under no pressure, but we were playing good football, right, mate? We were creating many chances. We scored. We were pressing as a team. And I thought we played really well, best we played for a long time. But that just kind of disappeared. Now, Lee, do you put that down to the changes? Do you put it down to the pressure? What do you reckon, Lee, mate?
So for me, it's simply down to the style of football that we have in the Premier League compared to European teams, right? There's a difference between a team sitting high on you and a team that is pressuring you from the go. I find a lot of that, especially the lower teams, maybe not as much as the likes of Liverpool's and Cities and stuff, because I think that's why we got a result against Liverpool, because they weren't pressing us. But when you play the bottom 10 teams, especially when they look at our performances over the last year or 2 years, if I'm any coach, I know how to play against Tottenham. You just high press them, put pressure on them from the back, and they just don't have the technical ability to play out around through the park. We're so static in our play that I think you do that and we crumble. And that's the problem, is that in the Premier League, you can't do that. We don't take no... We seem to be pressing better against Atletico than we did against Nottingham Forest. What's the thought process there? Because surely... Sorry to anyone if you are a Forest fan and you're listening, but Atletico are a much better team than Forest are. Surely, if you put the same amount of pressure that you did on Forest than you did on Atletico, then you would get the same result, right? But it's like we don't. It's almost like this is. I think this is what it comes down to, right? In a game where we had nothing to lose, we put all the risks out there. When you've got a game where you're trying not to lose, we don't want to risk it. But when we haven't got the team to balance that risk. So Nottingham Forest wanted to risk it a bit. They did. They've got the goals. We didn't want to risk it. We didn't want to put the same pressure. And I mean, that second half, let's be fair, that second half, the changes that he made, a completely different team come out that second half, and not for the best, not for the better. I think we looked better in the first half, although we didn't do too much. Then the second half, the team came out, and I didn't know what was going on at that point. I thought they were just open and praying that something would happen. And if you look at the stats, people will say, yeah, we had more possession in the second half. Yes, we had more possession, 100%, because by the time they scored 2 goals, they were just sitting back and waiting for the final whistle. But if you actually look at the stats, we had more possession, but they had more shots on target in the second half.
Oh, mate,
which tells you the whole story.
Yeah, they schooled us yesterday, mate. And I've got to be honest, they got it spot on their tactics. And just a few hellos in the chat quickly. Big up to Carl. I hope you're good, man. I'm just going to go to your comment in a second. Big up to Mario, man. Nice to meet you yesterday in the Bricklayers, mate. Hope you're good. Big up to Luca as well. Hope you're good, man. You've got hope still. 21 points still to grab. We're going to talk about the future. Big up to Destiny as well. He says, get Savra on, laugh out loud. I thought it might be in the chat and he wanted to come on, but no, I think he's just joking. Let's make sure I've caught everybody else in the stream. Yeah, look, I want to go to Carl's comment here because I saw something today. I don't know if there's any truth in it. He says that, what do you think there was some kind of bust up at half time? Because we came out in that second half. It's just like we gave up, mate. Honestly, we didn't show anything in that second half, mate. And obviously, Nottingham Forest scored. What was it, around 15 minutes? Wasn't it? I think that Morgan Gibbs a white goal.
Yeah.
But the changes, you could question it. You got Doggy OK coming on. He took off Van der Ven. People may thought he was injured because, thinking Van der Ven, is one of our better players. Although he hasn't been great recently. And then who else did he take off? He took off Bergwall. He brought Bergwall on for, who was it for, mate? I forgot now.
Was it Gray that he took him off for, or was Gray later? Because I think Star stayed on, didn't he?
It weren't Gray. It was
or Richie.
Someone in the chat will know. They'll tell us. But it just, where was Xavi? Bring him on then at half time. No, he chose Bergwall, and he's playing Bergwall on the right wing.
That guy.
Huh? What's that?
He's so reluctant to play that guy. I don't know why he wouldn't be the first one on in the second half.
I don't understand it, mate. And when he was talking about getting on the boat, off the boat the other week, is this what he means? Certain players he just doesn't think are up for the fight. But I thought Xavi against Atletico Madrid, he weren't just an attacking performance what he was good at. He was actually tracking back. He was recovering the ball. I think he made about 9 ball recoveries. So his work rate was there alongside the attacking threat. Look, don't get me wrong. Sometimes he gets it wrong. But I'd rather want someone to try and make something happen. Do you know what I mean? And I'm Lee, mate, honestly, I don't know. And if you kind of reflect back now on this game, and especially that second half where, we conceded that goal. And if you look at the space, I don't know if you watched the goal back, we were just so all over the place, mate. Honestly, it was so easy. Morgan Gibbs White, he picked it up in the middle, ran acres of space, spread it out to the left. Their fullback returned it back to him. Was it Odoi? Maybe it was Odoi. I can't remember now. Played it back to him, and he finished it. And it just looked so easy. No one was closing him down. Sarr was nowhere to be seen. Don't know where Gray was. It was just an absolute mess. And there was plenty of Spurs players in that box to close that down, mate. I don't know if you remember it.
There was 5. I think there was 5 altogether.
Oh, mate, it was.
Which is bad. But see, this is where I don't believe we should be playing the likes when we need to win a game, and we need people that have been there and done it. This is where I don't think you start the likes of Graham Sarr, because at the end of the day, irrelevant of what we think their positions are, they are the ones that are there to cover those areas, right? And they were nowhere to be seen. And people can pee and moan and all this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, that's what their job is. So, I mean, that's where I would have, I would have probably taken one of those off and put Paulinho on. If we were really struggling and they looked like they were going to score again, I would have taken one of them off and put him on. I know we need something going forward, but then, okay, bring Xavi and bring Bergwall on and then put Paulinho and just sit him in front of the back four just to shore it up, maybe just to allow the right and the left back to go forward a bit more. But you've got to have cover. Otherwise, you can have scenarios like this where you get hit on the break and you've got absolutely no one in the penalty area with Nottingham Forest player with all the time in the world. I mean, he could have 2, 3 or 4 touches and still have scored that goal. That's how bad it was.
Oh, mate, it was terrible. And I think it was, right, they tried to attack, right? The team tried to attack, but it was just, we just looked so disorganised. It wasn't compact. We didn't defend well. It wasn't, it was just a bit loose, wasn't it? And it was just a comparison of performances from the other day. And surely it can't just be the selection, right? You change a few players and we go that bad. I don't know what the fuck happened, Lee, honestly. What was it, the pressure? Was it just Nottingham Forest played well? That they just had our number on the day? That they kept it simple, didn't they? They just had a plan sitting there. They got some good players, Anderson in there, Sangare, they were strong. And then you kind of reflect on it, Lee, and you're thinking, okay, you look at their midfield, and Anderson's one of the best midfielders in the league. Sangare's a good midfielder as well. There's strength there, right? Experience. And then you've got Spurs' midfield of Sarr and Gray. And you're thinking a bit, okay, Gray's played well the last couple of games. But, you've got Paulinho on the bench. You've got Gallagher on the bench. I don't particularly rate Gallagher, but, he's an experienced player. Why didn't they play? Or Paulinho at least should have played, mate. You needed that defensive shield there, that bit of strength, that bit of... I don't know what you want to call it,
Someone
Lee.
that can put a tackle in, right?
Yeah, that man, that proper player in there who's going to get stuck in. He's going to, maybe he could have stuck on Morgan Gibbs-White, maybe that could have stopped that goal. I don't get it, mate, honestly. Is he another one that's not on the boat, Paulinho? Because he ain't played him, has he, mate?
I was literally just about to say the same thing. It's another one where he just doesn't seem to want to play him. He wants to play the youngsters. I don't get why. I think it's... Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be one of these ones that I'm an advocate for Archie Gray, right? I think he's one of these players where I think the way that he's been brought into the team, and I get it because we paid a lot of money for him, so they're not just going to ship him out and they're not going to send him here and everywhere when you pay almost £40 million for a youngster. But I don't think it's done his development any good. I think he would have been more beneficial where he's not putting so much pressure on him at this age. I think he has got. I think he's going to be. It probably will end up being a good, solid midfielder for someone. I just don't think this environment is great for his performances at the moment. There's too much pressure, right? We're talking about the pressure of having a club that thinks it's a top 6 club for 2 seasons on the trot being in relegation zones. I just don't think it's great for him or his development.
So yeah, he's been shoved all over the place, hasn't he, Gray? Right, yeah, shoved all over the place. And you could look at it and say, well, look, he's got plenty of experience, right? Plenty of game time. But I mean, he should be given a position and stuck to it. And he should have probably gone out on loan, and we should have signed a more ready player. Will Gray be a good player in the future? Maybe. I think he's played well the last couple, not so much at the weekend, but I think Atletico Madrid, he was good. Liverpool, he was all right.
Under no pressure against Atleti, he played fantastic, right? They let him play, and that's where he shone. But again, when it comes to playing under pressure in the Premier League, it shows that they're not as great as you think they are. You've got to be able to do it in and out of pressure, otherwise you get found out, and that's the problem.
Yeah. He shouldn't be starting, really. And a lot of criticism for me on that game was the setup, was the changes, but it's not just Tudor. We've got to look at the players as well, and they've been doing it all season. Yeah, they've been stinking the place out all season. Look, he dropped Mwani. Mwani got a good goal the other night. Drops him. Our forwards, Solanke with Charlison, I just thought was so average at the weekend. They didn't get a lot of chances, but what did they do really? A lot of running around, but the team didn't look right, Lee. It did not look right, and that second half was a disaster.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I know Solanke got a lot of praise when he was at Bournemouth, but it was one season. I don't think he has got it enough to. I can't even. This is where we are now. I can't even say like a top club because we're not. We've been bad for two years now. But sometimes I remember a match two or three matches ago where he started, and I witnessed him about 3 or 4 times pick the ball up in midfield. And then instead of trying to find a pass, trying to dribble it past people. At one point, I'm pretty sure he was dribbling it past his own player. And every time he lost the ball, and I'm just like, you're trying to overcomplicate things so much. Just turn and look for a pass. You don't need to be trying to take it past 3 or 4 players. You're not that type of player. Yeah, you're a striker. Start there in the box and try and get I don't care if he scores 6 tap-ins for the rest of the season. I don't want to see him around in midfield trying to hold the ball up and then dribbling it around people. That's not his job. And and he seems to be going with this playing Solanke and Richarlison as a 2 up top now. And I think we've seen it twice, and I don't necessarily think it works. I think go with one of them and then stick someone else behind him. Or behind which is, and if it was me, for me, I think, I hate to say this because I've not been his biggest fan either, but I think Richarlison has shown more output with the goals and everything that he scored and the effort that he puts in, that if we are going to look for someone to get us some goals, I think he would be the one that I would choose, because I just don't see where Solanke's getting goals from. I really don't.
It was just horrible, especially that second half. It's a horrible performance. Scott, big up to you, mate. Were you able to meet up with anyone from Change for Tottenham? No, I didn't see anyone. I didn't see many people, to be honest. There, we got there quite late.
Billy was there,
on
wasn't
the day. Yeah,
Billy.
You saw? No, I didn't see anyone. Yeah, they're all there, but I didn't see them. I didn't see anyone. I saw Mario in the pub. Cookie bumped into Sean after the match. I don't know where I was. I think I was stood in the ground, just kind of standing there in shock. Dismay. I just stood there. It's, when you go to the game, mate, it's so different, so different. You really take it all in, all the other fans out there, what they're saying, that, just watching the players more close up, even though I was quite high up in the south stand. It's just, I was just taking it all in, mate. I was just taking a step back and I was just watching it all, and I just thought, it's a mess. It's a massive mess. And that game where, for me, it was, I know every game's a must win, but after not being able to win since December, I thought surely now, after a couple of decent results, that the team would finally start pulling it together. They had this bloody party before the game. You thought that would G them up. But nah. They just don't like playing under pressure, this team. Tudor doesn't help with his team selection and his tactics. We're just so disorganised, so dysfunctional. It just doesn't... It's not compact. I don't know if you... I mean, Tim Sherwood spoke about this on this morning. I don't know if you rate him or not, but a lot of what he said kind of made sense. But Tudor, I don't know... I mean, what do you think of Tudor, mate? I think it was the wrong appointment. I mean, it's 1 point in 5 matches in the league. There's been no change or any improvement. Yes, fans will say, look, there's nothing you can do with this lot of players. They're not good enough. They're shit. They don't want to play for the badge. They don't care. But just lead this Tudor guy. Like, what do you think of him, mate? Honestly,
I've got no opinion on him because I don't know him. He's got no experience in the Premier League whatsoever. Right? He's got experience in leagues that play very, very differently to the Premier League. He was completely the wrong appointment. We should have got someone with some kind of Premier League experience that knows how the game plays in the Premier League and knows what needs to be done to get us out of relegation, right? Yeah. It's as simple as that. I said this on another couple of channels. Right, and again, this is just my opinion. I'm sure this isn't the real story, but this stinks of Paratici just sticking a finger up on his way out of his job and just going, "Oh yeah, this guy get you out of relegation here." Use him, knowing full well that it wouldn't work, and it was just a big middle finger on to us on his way out as he's leaving the training ground or something.
That's naughty,
because I don't get it. I really don't get it. Listen. It's all well and good saying that he's done this before, he's a specialist at getting people out of relegation, but at the end of the day, the Premier League's so different to like any other leagues, right? And he would have to learn just as much about how games pan out, the other teams, etc., about the team that he's got to even implement anything. And I don't think we've had enough games left where he could start tinkering. He's tinkered far too much. He should have just stuck with a team. She said, this is the way I'm going to play. These are the players that I need in these positions, and just stuck with it week in, week out. The ever changing lineups, the ever changing formations that he seems to put in is not going to do the players any good. It's going to confuse them. I think it's just a complete shambles from his appointment to the players. There's just no cohesion in there whatsoever, and there's nothing we can do about it because we've got no transfer windows to get players in. We've got no. All we are literally just dealing with the cards we've been dealt, and that's it. And I just don't think it was ever going to work.
Yeah, so it's a failure, right? It's a failure.
Yeah, absolutely.
He weren't on anyone's list today. He came out of nowhere, right? Came out.
Absolutely.
I think some people said Paratici recommended him before, I think a couple of months ago, but really, no, he was on anyone's radar. And it's just been an absolute failure, honestly. No bounce, no nothing. Keeps changing it all the time. First, he came in all hard, didn't he? Giving the players a hard time, training them, getting them running up and down. We saw the videos, just players just going up and down, saying that they're not fit, slating the pass regime. What was Frank doing with them? Didn't say Frank, but he was indicating that these players weren't up to scratch with fitness. But that didn't work, did it? So then he kind of changed his tune and said, "Oh, I saw something." It was after one game. He probably lost it. I can't remember which one. He goes, "Oh, I saw some improvements in that." And we were all watching it and thinking, "What improvements?" I don't know. I don't think so. Tudor's got to go. And I feel sorry. He's lost his dad. Right? It's awful. Yeah, football aside, awful for him. And it's a difficult decision to make, is it? You could just sack him after he's just lost his dad. So it's a sensitive situation. But getting down to business, Spurs need to make a decision with Tudor. It hasn't worked out. Maybe he might not want to return now with the loss of his father. Maybe he needs time to grieve. So, hopefully the club are working on a replacement. Who's that going to be?
I said from a couple of weeks ago, right? And I stick to my guns on most things that I do say in chat channels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The relevant of the Atleti outcome, right? After the Liverpool game and after the first Atletico game, I said that this guy's going to go, and but he won't go until the international break, and it's simply because we've got no. See, this is another problem as well, right? We got Tudor in, we got rid of Frank, but we also got rid of everyone else. So I forget what his name. The guy that came from Ajax, was it?
Heitzinger.
Heitzinger, right? We didn't have a Heitzinger. We haven't got a Mason. We haven't got a Stellini or whatever. We have got no one. If he does go to take it, we've got to go and get someone else on the basis that they even want to come, right? So I said, there's no way that if they're going to do something, there's no way they're doing it before the international break, because we've got Champions League games, we've got Liverpool coming up. There's absolutely no way we can do that because you won't be able to get someone in quick enough. And also, we've got no one that can take the matches. We haven't got anyone. So I said from day one that he will be gone probably in the international break. Now, if I'm sorry to say it as transparent and plain as I can. If what hadn't had happened to his dad last night, I think we would have seen an announcement today. Right? Job done. But they have to be. They can't do that. No. With what's happened, they can't do it. I think what you'll probably find in the next 48 hours, we'll get a statement from the club saying he is not going to return because he wants to stay in wherever it is. With family, etc. I think that's how they'll play this out. But I think it will take a couple of days before we get there to give him time to.
I agree, Lee. I totally agree. Yeah,
but I am now in a position, or my opinion is that I don't know. Even if we get someone else in, I'm still struggling to see where we get points out of games, irrelevant of who the manager is, because I'm seeing week in, week out that some of these players are just simply not good enough.
But Lee, let me stop you there, because you did say that if we had a manager who stuck to the same system, gave the players very clear, simple instructions, this is how we're going to play to the end of the season, this is the lineup, we're not going to move away from that. Obviously, players-wise, we might have to adjust if injuries or whatever. We've got one game a week now, right? Surely you would make that change, and we've got nothing else to lose, right? You know, what else can we do? Keep Tudor. I think we're going down. Is there not any chance in your eyes that, say Redknapp came in, for example, just him, for example, could he rally the team up enough to get 2-3 wins in those remaining fixtures?
So my issue with it is that I think the 2 games that we could have got points from are now gone by us, right? So I think the Palace and the Forest games were probably the potential games that we can get points from. I will struggle to see where we get points from Sunderland away, because I think they're a really good team, really structured and cohesive team. Yeah. I think we would struggle against Everton. I think Chelsea's going to be a nightmare.
Leeds.
So I think, again, is it home or away Leeds?
Home.
If it's at Ellen, it's at home. And I think Thingy Bob's out as well, isn't he? Long term, their winger. So maybe we get a point. But I only see maybe a draw. But if Leeds turn up like Nottingham Forest, then I can't predict anything but a loss. Because again, they've got the players to score goals, etc. I'm struggling to see who. I'll be honest with you. I think that it's got to the point where some of our squad have got such a big ego that it doesn't matter who comes in. They're just going to keep playing the way that they're playing, and I just don't think it's good enough. And that's not good enough to gel a team together. That's the problem. We need someone to gel a team together, but I think there's some players there that don't want to stick together. I think, I don't know. I can't. I've not seen anything as bad as the second half against Nottingham Forest. They just didn't seem like they're playing like a team. First half, not bad. Second half, what happened?
Look, Lee, after watching it, after seeing us play all season, especially since the new year, with the form table, everything is pointing we're getting relegated right now as it stands. Yeah, there's nothing me and you can talk to convince ourselves, convince the watchers that Spurs are staying up, because the evidence is there, right? We're not winning games. We haven't won a game. What's it, 13 games now? It's a record I heard today. I think because I heard it last night. I can't remember. I think it might have been on Savage Stream. But yeah, we've broke the record. The players look, confidence lacking, just lacking everything, aren't they? Especially against, when something goes against you, we go a goal down. We just don't have it to get back in the game. Nobody's standing up for the fight. Got nobody leading the team. It's all over the shop. We've got Romero running all over the pitch, going up front, doing what he wants. Van der Ven, he don't look himself. You go across the whole team, it's just so dysfunctional. Now, yes, we could put it down to Tudor. We've put it a lot down to Frank all season. But it's these same players there, aren't they? It's the same players, isn't it? And I can't defend these players anymore. Do I think these players are better than what they're showing? I think so. I think if we had a decent manager, a manager who gave these players belief, stuck to a system. Yes, the injuries has obviously affected the team as well, especially key players. But right now, as how it stands now, I think we're going down unless we change the manager. And then that still doesn't guarantee it. But what else do we do here, Lee? Otherwise, we're just going to go down, mate. Honestly, they have to change him. Tudor, I think, will go. If I look across social media, if I look at pundits, the press, they're all saying, we're probably going to lose his job. The question is, who's coming in after? And this is it, mate, isn't it, Lee? Who is going to want to take that job? What is it, 7 games to go, mate? Is it? How many games now?
Yeah, 7. Is it 7 or 8? It's either 7 or 8, I think. I think it's... But you're right. Mate, this would have to be. This is why I don't think, someone like, I know a lot of people have been saying get Deitch in because that's what he does. I'm not sure that I think we're too far down the road. I really do. We've got. I
wouldn't bring Deitch in, man. No. Would you? Would you bring him in?
I don't know. He knows the Premier League, and that's about it, right? So you've got to question. I know a lot of people out there saying bring Harry and Sherwood in, but you've got to question the fact that Harry Redknapp has been out of football for 10 years, right? a lot of people say, well, these players just need a pat on the back and they need a bit of reassurance. I don't think they do. I think their egos are too big to have a father figure in that club as a coach. I don't think they want it, and that's the problem. That's why I say I don't think it matters who comes in. I'm completely accepted now that the only way we're staying up, and people might not like this, is that West Ham are worse than us in the running. Because
what about returning players, Lee? What about returning players like Kudos coming back soon after the international break? I think there was somebody else. But Bentancur might be back. What about some of these returning players coming in up with a new coach, possibly?
What, the returning players that we've been losing matches with for the last year or 2 years?
Or Kudos.
Again, Kudos, yeah, but again, we haven't won that many games with him, and it's a lot to put so much pressure on one player that, let's be fair, does hold the ball up well, takes it on, but I don't think he really. I mean, how many goals and assists has he actually got when he was playing?
He was all right. He was doing all right assist-wise.
Don't get me wrong. I like him and he's a good player, but I just don't think a singular player gets us out of this trouble. He's still got Richarlison. He's still got Solanke up top. If Tudor does stay and he doesn't play Xavi, I mean, again, he's got no creativity to pass to. The biggest problem we had when Kudus was playing, the amount of times he pulled that ball out of the air like he's grabbed it with his hands, is fantastic to watch. It's fantastic to see. But then he's got a lot of people used to call him really selfish about what he would do with it afterwards. But when you look at it, really, it's because he's got no one up there with him to do anything with. That's his biggest problem. I just don't think. I think he would definitely help us on that right hand side. Absolutely, he will. But I don't think he can do it all on his own, and I don't think it will be enough. Because he's not a goal scorer, really, is he? And that's what we need, is goals.
Mate, we need him back in the team, mate. It's dark, man. We need something back in the team, man. Honestly,
back in the team, 100%.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's not going to be one player that saves it. It's going to be the team finally getting themselves together, isn't it? And it's if whatever manager comes in, hoping that it's someone who's going to play the right way, get us attacking, get us score some goals, lift the crowd. And the thing is, big up to
even lists everyone else as well, right? I mean, imagine Xavi starting with Kudos. Right?
Yeah, of course,
he knows
mate,
he's got someone he can rely on. It's a bit of momentum and it's a bit of uplift.
Yeah. We got to look at the small things, Lee, mate. There's not much we can look at possibly.
Take anything we can, right?
Yeah, we're desperate. We're desperate, mate. We're thinking of reasons why we could stay up, and we got to. Yeah, we're fans. We don't want to get relegated. We want us to stay up. They've been awful. I just want to say big up to Haz, mate. I met you yesterday in the pub. Did you enjoy that rum and coke, mate? They served me a rum and coke in coaching horses, and I was like, I didn't like the rum, and Haz had it. So I hope that went down well, mate. Look, Lee, after yesterday, I just think we're going down. Unless that change of manager does, give us a lift. But these players, we're going to continue to doubt them because they have been. Their performances throughout the season has just been horrible. Look, it's tough, Lee. It is really tough. It's really hard to come on and talk about our club, especially when the state of the season. Every week it's a defeat. It's so negative. And all the fans yesterday, that party atmosphere before the game. I don't get it, man. I don't know how they kind of got themselves up there. Like, it was like a party before the game. Like, what are they happy about? I just don't get it, mate. Honestly, Lee, why were they so happy? Were they kind of taking themselves back to the parade when we won the Europa League? What was it, mate? Is it just drink, alcohol?
Maybe a bit of everything. I get it. I'd like to ask the people that went there and participated in it, though. Would you do it again next week, given the performance at home? Was it worth it? Was it worth it making all that effort? Because it doesn't seem to have done anything on the pitch, right? So I don't know. It was a nice thing to do. but I don't think it actually led to anything. I don't think the outcome was the lift that people expected it to.
Why that
to
game,
be.
Lee, though? Lee, why that game? Why not near the end of the season when we had to get the points? You know what I mean? Like the last couple of games of the season. I get it then, when you really just last chance saloon, you've got to get in that mood for the team to support. Why do it for the Forest game? It's interesting, isn't it? Why they chose that one?
I don't think we can risk doing it at the end of the season. I think that we need to be getting the results now, so we're not in that position at the end of the season. So maybe that's what they wanted to do. But I don't.
Didn't make a bit of difference, mate.
It didn't make a blind bit of difference. No. You're absolutely right. And maybe it was, as some people are saying, maybe it was just a big PR stunt, etc. Say, hey, look, we're here for the fans. But I don't get it. I really don't. They've got history for. They are the best deflectors of all time, right? And this is why I'm saying this so disjointed in the between, the guys running the football and the guys that own the club. I think they like to deflect, and that's what they've done. They've bought themselves some time by giving a few people some drinks or something. I don't know.
Yeah, free drink. Yeah, buy one get one free. Yeah, and the people, the groups had to get the club involved. Working with them to arrange this party yesterday, and I just. Yeah, look, I'm very strong protest, ANIC out, so I'm going to be against it, But everybody else, as fans, do what you want, you support the club how you want. It's not for me to tell you what to do or anything like that. I'm just disappointed that there's not more people wanting to challenge ANIC, protest. But as we said at the beginning of the show, mate, there's just not the appetite there in the fan base, and I don't know what else to do. Change for Tottenham. They're going to have a very hard job on their hands. Really kind of rallying another protest. And, you hear that they've lost a lot of credibility due to kind of then supporting the gathering. And it's all a bit of a mess, mate. Let's go to the chat. Yeah, let's go to the chat for a little bit, Lee, and see what they're saying. Zorbath the Geek says Ange made them feel like world beaters. Now they think they're too big for the club. Interesting. What do you reckon, Lee? Yeah, I know you won't talk about it.
Listen, I'm sure the players won't forget. It brings into what's happening this season brings into question the whole throwing of the league, right? Because did he really throw the league, or again, were we just not good enough in the league? We were good in Europe because of the style of play that's being played, and we were better. We just weren't geared up for the Premier League or his style of football, because Frank's not come out and said that we threw the league for the Champions League, which is bad. So are we just bad in the league and good in Europe, or is one manager saying we threw it and the other one's manager saying we didn't? I mean, it can't be both, right? Can it? I just don't think we're good in the league. Well, I just don't think we're suited in the Premier League.
And this is why a lot of fans think the players are just not good enough, because they've done it under Ange, they've done it under Frank, they've done it under Tudor, and a lot of fans are putting it down to the players.
Constant trend.
And I think, and I look at our squads, and yes, there's players that need to go. There's players not good enough. But I do think we have talent in the squad. We signed Paulinho, Kudos, good players, Xavi, coming with a good reputation. Yes, he had no Premier League experience. But Paulinho did, Kudos did, Mawani, no Premier League experience. But he went for like 90 million euros, didn't he? To put Paris Saint-Germain, so it must have some talent in there, and it's about a manager getting the most out of that talent, and Frank couldn't do it. Frank, for me, he was so pragmatically, and the team didn't go past the halfway line. It was just crosses into the box, long throw-ins, corner kicks. The players, after a while, they didn't, and this is terrible, really, because the players should be playing for the badge every week, whatever the manager's telling them. But we know this day and age of the players. But it just didn't work. Well, Frank, he lost the dressing room. I think it was after that Chelsea defeat, wasn't it? Awful game at home to Chelsea, weren't it? 1-0. Was it 2-0 in the end or 1-0? I can't remember now.
Can I just say something about this whole playing for the badge?
Go on.
Because if you had asked me that 2 or 3 seasons ago, I would have absolutely agreed with you. Now, I think this whole playing for the badge thing is just a crock of shit.
So you just think they're there for the money?
We are so diluted of players that actually would have played for the badge, like Kane, Son, the guys that have been there and done it, there are no players left in that team where I would say, yeah, he's definitely going to play for the badge, play for Spurs.
What about
I just
personal
don't think any
respect,
of
though,
them.
Lee? Respect, actually, as a footballer. How do you think they're feeling that putting Spurs, who are supposed to be challenging for kind of Europe, that won the Europa League last season, won a trophy, their actual own pride to be dragged into this relegation fight? How embarrassing for them as a player? Or do you just think they don't care?
Well, see, this is again, this is another thing that I've said that when a lot of people have said, there are players in there that don't care. When the whole story came out, there's players that don't care. They're going to move on, etc., etc. I was like, okay, that's fair enough. That may be the case, right? There will be players there. Will no doubt, if we get relegated, we'll find a club the next day. No doubt about that. But they will never have that tarnish off of their career that they were part of a squad that got Tottenham Hotspur relegated. That will always be on their CV.
Yeah,
no
this
matter
is what I mean.
So so that's why I don't get why there's not more effort. Because if irrelevant of relegation or not, I believe there are still quite a few players, and there are probably quite a couple of big players that are going to move on in the summer, right? Because they don't like the direction of the club. There's no cohesion. They don't know what the plan is, and they want out. I get that, but the worst thing that you could possibly do is down tools, because what happens if you go to a new club and they're in the same situation? They know from previous experience that what you're going to do is down tools. So it's not a good look on them. So I don't get why they're not, putting more effort in. I say more effort. I just don't think they're gelling as a team, to be quite honest with you, as a squad. I just don't think they're gelled at all. But anyway, that's the way. I think the only person that shows any kind of, and even this is clutching at straws, any kind of heart for the badge is probably Porro, because of the amount of years that he's been there. No one else is, I would say, that's actually playing for Spurs. Not like the old people do. Not like Danny would with his bun. But.
Look, it's dark times, man. It's terrible times, mate. Honestly, I've got the title of the show. I called it "No Protest, No Wins, No Hope." Right? That's it, isn't it? No protest. No one wants to protest. Not enough fans do. We're not winning any games in the league, and the hope is gone. Lee, honestly, do you think we're going down?
As I said, my opinion is we're going down if West Ham find a win in their last 7 games. If they find a win, I don't see where we get a win. So
they
I
will
think
get
we're
a win.
on them.
They will get a win. They are playing better, mate.
I do. I believe that as well.
Yeah, they will get a win. They may get a couple of wins,
which is what worries me.
Yeah, I think they will, and we have to win. And Sunderland away, tough game. I don't think we'll get anything there. Brighton at home. Brighton are a good side. They could turn us over easily when we're playing like this. So it is really now on waiting for this decision on Tudor, if he's gone, and who comes in. But you know what I heard today, Lee, as well, and I've heard quite a few times that Spurs, the board, whoever, are staying away from people connected to the club, like the likes of Redknapp, Sherwood, Hoddle, whoever. That they're not, and there was something as well I heard on Talk Sport. I don't know how much truth it was, that someone rang up and said that he spoke to an ex-player, and they have been trying to speak to the board to see if they can help with the situation, and they're just not listening. What did you make of all of that, mate?
Well, we've seen the disrespect that they've given to ex-players before, right? In some of the things that they've done, so it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't, and this is why I'm saying I think ENIC, take Daniel Levy out of the equation, who was never a football fan in when he took the club over in the first place. They are so disjointed. They're so far away from being connected to do with football, apart from a couple of them supporting Liverpool, or their husband supporting Liverpool. That I don't think they understand the importance of keeping people around the club, like ex-legends and stuff like that. It's like they don't want their advice.
What's
they
happened,
don't want
though?
the advice
What's
of
happened,
football
mate?
papers.
Why would they do that? I don't get it.
No, I don't either. It makes absolutely no sense to me at all. you know, you've got. Did you see the interview with Harry Redknapp and Defoe?
Yeah,
About 10 days ago, we're on TalkSport early in the morning. We were talking about Cheltenham,
I did.
and Defoe sort of said, you know, I was part of the coaching for the under-18s, etc., etc., and then they just sort of cut ties. And he was asked as to whether he would help out with the coaching of the first team, etc. I mean, and he was well up for doing it, and they just didn't want anything to do with it. Just cut him off there. I mean,
something's wrong, man. Honestly, something is definitely off. It's definitely off.
I don't disagree.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, why? And you know, you heard Harry Redknapp, and he came on to TalkSport, and he reckons he spoke to Daniel Levy, and Daniel Levy said to him, "Oh, Harry, I would have rang you." You know, I don't know how much truth of that is, but it doesn't make sense. They should have brought in a Tottenham man at this stage. Shouldn't have brought in Tudor. Complete failure. So many failures from this board. January transfer window, not bringing anyone in. Taking too long to sack Frank. It's just been it sounds like self-sabotage, mate. Honestly, it really does. Vinay,
someone's sabotaging it.
Yeah, Lange, terrible. Paratici, he re-signed and then he left. Something is seriously wrong, and the punishment is going to be relegation, mate. And if they do bring in, and did you see the link today to that manager, the ex Monaco manager?
Again, another guy that doesn't have any Premier League experience and doesn't know how to win games in the Premier League to get us out of a relegation.
Surely that's a wind-up, isn't it?
Absolutely no sense. Well, I probably about a year or two ago, I just completely stopped looking at Twitter and stuff like that, because pretty much everything that's posted on there never comes to fruition, ever. And and these things always come out of left field with Spurs, right? And who we sign and managers that we bring in, etc. So I don't read it anymore, because it makes no sense. That makes less sense than Tudor, to be quite honest with you,
mate. I think it's a wind up. Honestly, I don't know what the source is, but when I saw that, man, that's just mental. I don't even really know the guy. Not really. I think I've heard of him, but I don't know much about him. But oh, mate, they're desperate, aren't they? They're in a desperate situation. I don't think many managers want this job now. Not many are going to be the ones to send Spurs down now. Who's going to want to put their name to them? Surely, if they pay him a lot of money, of course, they'll take it. And, you know, Sherwood was like today, if they called him, he reckons he could keep them up. He believes he could. I don't know, Lee. Honestly, who would you bring in now? You know, just give us a name or a couple of names. What would you do if you're in charge?
That is a hard
People
question.
In the chat, I mean, let us know.
I wouldn't be opposed to bringing someone like Sherwood and Defoe in, or someone like that, just as a makeshift. But I don't think alone they would work. I know a lot of people want to see Harry, but I worry that he's been out of football for quite a long time, and as much as managers don't lose it, you know, if they've got a football brain, they've got a football brain. But I think the Premier League has changed a lot in 10 years.
It'll just motivational, Lee. All it will be with Redknapp is motivational.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I'm just worried whether these players can actually be motivated. I mean, how many managers do we need to go through to get motivation to these guys? It doesn't seem like they want to take motivation from anyone.
Well, Forest, how many have they gone through this season? Is it 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
And finally, I think they're going to get out of it, Forest. What I saw from them yesterday, I think they'll be all right.
I think they will.
They've got good players. I think Nottingham Forest, there's many players I'll take, especially some of their defenders. Mate, honestly.
Well, yeah, exactly. Nico Williams, right? Week in, week out, that boy puts in a performance, yet he's completely never called out. I think he's great on the left. I think he'd be much better in our team over Udogie or Sousa, or we got at the moment. But anyway, that's never going to happen. We're never going to get a player from Forest again, are we?
Let's go to the chat, Lee. Let's go to the chat. Big up, Russell, mate. How you doing? Dan, apparently Billy T has indicated that the bus parade thing is now going to happen every week. Crazy. I don't think the same amount of energy will go into it now. Not after that. Nah, I don't think so. Maybe I'll be wrong, but after what, it didn't make any difference to the players. What do you reckon, Lee? Do you think this is going to go on now?
I I think it'll go. I think it'll be another one.
It dulled down a bit though, won't it? It won't be like that one.
Yeah, I think it'll be dulled down a bit. But if we get another result, like we did against Forest, I can't see people doing it after that. I think they'd be like, "What's the point?" It doesn't help. So what's the point? But hey, we'll see.
It's Sunderland away next. Let me get the fixtures up, mate, and let me go through the fixtures, remaining fixtures. It's 3-week break. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about that 3-week break, mate? I mean, it's time to go off and do something else. I know you play football, mate,
yeah,
so you'll be doing that.
I hate it. I hate the internet, but I know we need to have them, and I know we've got a summer competition this year, and the players need time to play together. But I don't like it. Not for the Premier League. It's too much. It's too long. But listen, we'll probably come back in 3 weeks' time. The Spursy thing will happen. Those guys that have gone out on international duty will probably get injured, and we're back to square one. On our first game, we'll be missing X, Y, and Z because they've been injured in national duty or something like that. And or every little hope that we did have of players coming back will be taken away from us. So who knows? I think the best thing to do is just not read any kind of social media for 3 weeks and just see what happens when we get back to Sunderland.
Yeah, just I'm sure we've all got a few mates there that you can rely on with information that said to you, like, I'm going to read that one. I know that's going to be a true story if there is an announcement. Just before I go to Lucas' comment, Sunderland on the 12th of April, 2:00 away, tough game. I think that is. They went away to Newcastle, got a result. Then it's home to Brighton on the 18th at 5:30, and then it's Wolves away, which is looking not like an easy game now. Wolves have turned it around, picking up points, getting some wins. That's not an easy game. We've got an awful record at Wolves. Just generally, we don't normally win there. I remember the time under Mourinho we won there. It's quite scrappy game. Way to Villa. I mean, can't unless they're still in the Europa League, aren't they? So they may rest players for that, but we can't rely on that.
The Forest were in the Europe on Thursday night, right? And they still came to us on Sunday and did the job. So I can't see how we get that going away to their place.
Hold on, mate. 1 second.
All right. We'll keep you all entertained, guys, by doing some dancing, but I've pulled my hamstring, so I can't. But I don't see how we get a result at Villa away, even if they are in Europe. Wolves, they've got our number for the last couple of seasons. Brighton's going to be a tough game. And I just think Sunderland at their ground is just going to be too much.
Mate, we've got to wrap it up. Baby's awake. I've got to go and feed her.
No.
So... Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
big up to everyone in the chat. Good show, man. Thank you for all your comments. Smash the like, subscribe if you're new, and all of that. It's very difficult times, mate. Lee, just final thoughts from you. I appreciate you coming on and joining me tonight.
No worries, mate. I appreciate you letting me having me on. Final thoughts. I just don't know where we go from here. I'm hoping that everyone comes back fit for Sunderland. By miracles, we get some kind of result in the last 7 games that manages to keep us up. But I'm struggling to see where that comes from.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. We'll see what happens. See what manager comes in. And then we'll kind of get some freshness, some little bit of lift maybe. But as it stands now, I just think going down it's a mess. It's a shambles. Worst season as a supporter for me. Probably you as well, mate. Right? At
least we had Europe last year, right? And we had that night in Bilbao, but we haven't got this year at all.
Yeah, we weren't really at risk of going down, were we? We had enough points. So this season is just it's I don't know. There's no words for it. Look, big up to everyone in the chat. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you all soon. Good night.
Good night.